So today we are going to make some reusable paper towels or unpaper towels. And so I got some of this terry cloth from Joann's and some flannel for the front. And so we are going to go ahead and get started. Joann's had a tutorial on how to do this for Earth Day, and so since I use a ridiculous amount of paper towels, I figured, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. So I got some of the supplies while they were on sale, and so let's throw them in the wash first. So we are getting started by cutting the fabric. This, of course, is the towel fabric or the terry towel from Joann's. And this first cut that we want to make is 12 inches. And this first time, my rotary cutter didn't cut all the way through, so I just finished it up with the scissors. And so, of course, you want to cut the 12-inch side on the yard length. So of course a yard is 36 inches, and so 36 divided by 3 is 12, and so then that way it keeps it easier to think about and whatnot. Also very important to wash the fabric before you begin cutting, because these fabrics will indeed shed, or they will indeed shrink rather. And please excuse my cat that decided she was going to be a part of the video too. So, of course, in this video, I am only cutting this fabric, but I had already cut my flannel fabric before, so you want to make sure to cut both pieces to a 12 by 13 inch piece. And so here are all of my pieces cut out, and we can move on to the next step. So we are going to start by placing these two pieces right sides together. And then we are going to go ahead and clip them around the edges to keep them in place. You of course don't need to use as many clips, and when clipping, make sure you leave a space so that you can turn it right side out. So now of course this is the part where you actually sew around the outer perimeter. I was just using my regular sewing machine because, quite honestly, I'm still getting used to my serger and it never even occurred to me. But the nice thing is, if you are using your serger, you can just sew them like regular, like with the right pieces on the outside, because you don't have to turn them inside out. And I didn't know that until after I already made 9 of them. But you know what? That's something I think I'm going to try for my next set, because I do really, really love these, and I think they're super, super useful for all sorts of things. So now we just want to clip the edges to make them easier to turn right side out. And so we are going to go ahead and do that right now. You can use a crochet hook if you have nails, your finger, you know, whatever. Is easier to get those nice, sharp, crisp points on each of the sides of the towels. And you want to go ahead and do that with all of the towels that you have. And I just flattened them out. So now we are going to go ahead and just iron all of the seams flat. You can, the parts that you did actually sew closed, you can trim that seam allowance a little bit. The seam allowance for me was a little bit bulky. I did, I believe, 1/2 inch. They didn't specify like what to use, so I just used 1/2 inch just to be safe in case there was movement, but it worked out fine in the end. So now I am just top stitching. When I top stitch, my personal preference is I like to start with the side that has the open area, because then I can pay extra attention to that and make sure that it's actually being sewn closed, and I don't have to come back and try it again later. They had you in the original pattern on Joann's like hand stitch it closed. I really found that that was completely unnecessary, because you have to top stitch it anyway, so you might as well just close it with a top stitch, in my opinion. But you are more than welcome to hand stitch it closed, but with the ironing and everything, I didn't find it necessary. So I'm just clipping all of my threads, and now comes the the most time consuming part, and that is putting on the snaps. So they didn't tell you where to put the snaps on. So what I did was I brought out my little acrylic square, and I did 1 inch from each side, and I put a dot so that I would know where it is. And I got this kit from Amazon, and it had everything I needed, so it was super convenient. So I took the awl and made a hole where I had put those dots that were 1 inch apart. And so once you got that, you have to get the pieces out. I am using 2 different colors of snaps for these because I want to alternate them. So I use these dark pink ones first, and you need 4 of the tacks, 2 of the female snaps and 2 of the male snaps. And so that way they will, snap together appropriately. So you start with the tack, putting that through the hole. Mine said to snip the point off. I'm not really sure why. I think I might maybe skip that step. I think I cut a couple of them a little too short. Then put one of the inside snaps on and squish it down. And yeah, so you're just going to do that for all 4 corners. The important thing I do have to say though is you want to make sure that your tacks are on the long end, like they're on the opposite way. So for this particular one, on one side the solid tack is on the side with the towel, and on the other side, on the other end of the 13 inches, then the solid tack is on the side with the flannel. And otherwise you're going to have some really wonky unpapered towels, like if you don't do it this way. But it's trial and error. You can do how you want, but it ended up working out really good. So now you can easily just clip them together and you can start rolling them. It's not that hard. I was expecting it to be harder, but it's really not. So this is what it looks like when you have, I don't think I had a full 9 of them, but you can see I alternated the colors of the snaps. They unrolled really easy, and you can also unsnap them really easy as well. And it also goes really well on a regular paper towel rack. So definitely recommend. Let me know what you think in the comments.